Hello YouTubers, this is CD Mangaka, and today's gameplay is going to be some domination on the map WMD in Call of Duty Black Ops. It's going to be a game where I have both my tryhard pants and panties on over the tryhard pants, so expect this just to be some cliched gameplay of mine. Assault rifle, high kill streaks, blah 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 blah, working off the spawn system, blah 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 blah. So it's really not interesting. It's a good score, but I mean it's just not interesting. So I'm going to talk about something besides the gameplay today, and it's going to be something kind of directed to you guys while I'm going to elaborate my own feelings of it. And I want to ask, some of my viewers out there, both the guys who I play with and just, fans of mine who watch my stuff, like, what do video games mean for you? What does a video game... this is really weird, trying to figure out how to phrase this. But I'm going to go with that, like, what do video games mean to you? Alright, and kind of just elaborate, just kind of follow my thought process, Like, what was your first video game system? The first game you played? Why you enjoyed video games? Why you keep playing video games? I remember my first video game was on the PlayStation 1. We bought the PlayStation 1, my family that is, bought PlayStation 1 when I was 5 and at Christmas. And the first video game I ever played, or at least I have any recollection of playing, was Spyro the Dragon on the PlayStation 1. And from there, it's just been this 12-year affair I've had with video games, because they've just allowed me to kind of just... To me, video games are like this really elaborate puzzle. Video game is a problem that has a solution to it, and it's up to you to kind of find the solution and how to get to it. You're given some resources to work with. I mean, like in Call of Duty, you're given a gun to kill guys, but it's really up to you about like what gun you use to kill a guy, how you're gonna kill a guy, and there's some other variation in there. But video games give you the flexibility that like a jigsaw puzzle doesn't. You can do it different ways, and there's just so many ways to get to the same conclusion, basically. And everybody has their own special way of doing it. And for me, like, I played single-player games, for like 12 years now, and I've always enjoyed like a really good story. I've always enjoyed just like some challenging stuff too. I've always enjoyed being challenged at a video game and overcoming that challenge. I mean, when it comes to me like getting mad at Black Ops, partly because Black Ops is a video game. And I have this mentality about video games that this is something that I can beat. There is something that I can say, I destroyed that challenge, or I progressed through it somehow, some way. With Black Ops multiplayer, you don't really get that. There's no end of the story. There's no climactic final boss fight. And so the only way I can do it is just to say, is to kind of beat other people at the game. Just so I know, in a sense, that, hey, I'm beating it. It's like, for me, it's like just killing any other random enemy in a single-player game. That's why I kind of... probably take Black Ops a little more seriously, because as far as a video game goes, I think of it as a solution, and I want to beat a video game. That's how I have fun with a video game. I mean, who has fun like constantly losing a video game? I mean, just like trying over and over again. No, you like it when you like defeat a video game. You like it when you spend 2 hours focusing on one boss, and you always get up to this point, and it's so frustrating, and then you finally just barely pull through, and you beat him, and then it's just like you overcame, excuse me, a challenge. And that's like one reason why a lot of people play video games, is because it's just a challenge. And for me, it's like a mental stimulus. I always have to be doing something. And I mean, that sounds stupid when I say it. It's like, come on, like nobody just sits around on their ass all day and does nothing. But I mean, it's even different than that. Like, I can't even like watch a TV show forever. I can't sit down and do a 5-hour marathon on How I Met Your Mother. I can't do that because I'm just sitting there and I'm not interacting with anything. I'm just absorbing a story. But with a video game, I spend like 10 hours straight practically, whenever I can, on like Call of Duty, playing with the guys and just doing stuff. And I mean, I'm doing the same thing, but I'm not doing the same thing. I'm not just sitting there absorbing a story. I'm moving around. I'm interacting with something. I'm making changes and choices that are going to affect the outcome of stuff, And so for me, video games have always just been like this little puzzle that you can solve in your own way. And it's just fun to do it too. And I mean, it's one reason why I picked up on GameFly, because I can't play single-player games that I played a lot. I mean, I experience a story, I play it, and then I'm done with it. I know how this ends. There's no intrigue for me. I've already done this certain mission before. I know how to beat it, and I just don't want anything to do with it anymore, because it's just like, I solved it already. It's kind of like me with a Rubiks Cube. I mean, to clarify this, I can actually solve a Rubiks Cube from memory alone. I have memorized all these algorithms that I can use to solve a Rubiks Cube, and I can do it still to this day. And I learned this back in 9th grade, so like 4 years ago. But I mean, the Rubiks Cube, while it's still fun to occasionally do, it's not really challenging, and not as, I'll say, engaging as it was the first time I did it, because back then I was trying to figure out how to solve it, and it was just practice, 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 and I never solved one before, and the first time I solved it, it was cool, but now, I mean, like, I solved it hundreds of times, and I know how to do it, and so the gratification isn't going to ever rival that first time. It never will rival that first time, and for me, it's the same way about video games. You know, I mean, like, and I don't do crazy stuff in video games. Like, I don't mess around and dick around like an open world sandbox. No, I play like by the book. I mean, but whenever I play like a game that gives you morality choice, like Infamous 2, Infamous 1, my first playthrough is always being the good guy, because I want to be that kind of guy. I don't want to be the guy who's just dicking around for the most part. I mean, I don't like to do that. I like to just, I'm by the books. I like to play the hero in a video game, and so, you know, that's another thing that video games allow me to do, is to assume different personas. Yeah. But overall, video games have just been like this little toy of mine that never gets old, because there's so many different ways of doing it. And now I have a whole access to a lot of them because of GameFly. And I'm grateful for that. And I beat Dead Space 2 this weekend, and I had a blast with it. And I'm not going to play it second time through. I've already played it. I've already experienced it once. I might pick it up later and go for some trophies down the road when I'm a little bored. It's like, hey, Dead Space 2. I might as well go pick up a few trophies and whatnot. But right now, I want to experience I want to mess with a new puzzle. And that new puzzle is actually going to be a game called Vanquish. It's this game by, I think it was Capcom who made it. But it's like a sci-fi, like, third-person shooter that's supposedly to be really fast-paced. And I want to give it a whirl just because I could use some, like, really adrenaline-pumping stuff right now. I've been missing my stuff, man. I gotta have the stuff. You know what I mean? But recently, video games have also taken on a social aspect for me. I can tell you right now, the only reason why I play Call of Duty as much as I play right now is because of the guys I play with. To everyone on my team, you guys are the only reason I really pick up Call of Duty and play it. It's not for the purpose of the multiplayer. The multiplayer, I have beaten that thing in a sense so many damn times, it's not even funny. I've spent 10 days on the multiplayer. And, you know, I mean, I know the game inside and out, but it's still fun to go to because it's always varying, and you guys are just a blast to be with. You guys are a whole new variable. I mean, there's always new stories evolving with my friends every day. There's always a new joke to tell. There's always some cool new thing. There's always a guy running around trying out a new sniper rifle. You know, I mean, you look at it, and you look at Dead Space 2, Isaac Clarke is always going to say the same cliched line over and over again. He's never going to suddenly change character. He's never going to suddenly tell a funny joke that you never heard before. It's just going to be the same, but multiplayer is never the same when you're running with a group. You know, playing multiplayer solo is just frustrating for me because when I lose a game and it's not my fault, I get frustrated. You know, like when you know this feeling if you've ever played like a lot of video games. You get to that boss fight, and something weird happens and you die and it's not your fault. You got caught on a wall. It was the video game's programming. I have the same kind of feelings of frustration with Call of Duty, and it's mainly just focused on random teammates. It's one reason why I sought so hard to get a party, and reason why I don't play the party, because I refuse to deal with bad teammates, bad players, who are going to lose the game for me when it's not my fault. I mean, it's just like, it's a frustrating part of a video game that I'm not around for. I'm here to solve the puzzle, to win. That's kind of why I have this attitude with Call of Duty. It's just an attitude I've always had with single-player games as well. But the social aspect of Call of Duty is what keeps it coming back. I mean, if all my friends play a different game, if we all played like Resident Evil 5, I would always hop on Resident Evil 5. If we all played, I mean, if there was cross-game chat, I would just love that and just always talk with the guys, even if I was playing a single-player game. I don't care. I would always talk with the guys because they're my friends, and you know what? I mean, the only reason why I play single-player games still is because I get home from school, I look on, there's nobody on Black Ops, or everybody's already in full party. I can't hang out with the guys, so screw it. I mean, that's what video games are for me now. They're a puzzle that I like to solve, but they're also just a social aspect that allows me to interact with some very close friends of mine. And that's why I kind of still play Call of Duty. And so I'm just going to close out here real fast by, you know, asking you guys, what do video games mean for you? Like, what was your first video game? Why do you, like, hang around with video games still? What keeps you coming back to them? You know, you might find that you have, like, the same answers as I do. You might find that you have some different answers than I do. But it's just something fun to think about. Like, what do video games mean for you? And I hope you enjoyed the commentary. You know, I hope it's a little fresh and maybe a little thought-provoking. So, thank you guys, and have a great day.